We're talking about health and agriculture. I couldn't think of anybody that I would rather bring in more than my buddy, Dr. Mark Sherwood out of Tulsa, former gubernatorial candidate there in Oklahoma, and just a great guy. I hope that you're able to take some, comfort in knowing that telemedicine is actually an option worth considering. All right, Dr. Sherwood, really excited to be sitting down visiting with you. We were able to meet years ago and just been able to have that friendship, and I have sent as many people as I can your direction being out of Tulsa. But tell me a little bit about who you are and what functional medicine is.
Well, I appreciate you, Logan, and I appreciate most of all our friendship that we've developed over the years. I really honor what you do and honor your broadcast, and I encourage people that are listening right now to make it a regular occurrence to listen. And about ourselves, obviously, primarily I'm a Christian, and I'm the husband of my wife, Dr. Michelle. So that's what I am, right? But, background-wise, previously, very much in a nutshell, I was a professional baseball player. Then I became a police officer for 2.5 decades. 10 years of that time, I was on the SWAT team. During that time, I traveled around the world with the world-famous Power Team for about 10 years. Since then, my wife and I went back to school, obviously, became a naturopathic doctor, and my wife and I have teamed up to join together to form the Functional Medical Institute, which is based out of Tulsa. We have written 3 #1 best-selling Amazon bestsellers, and now we produce 5 full-length movies, so we've got our hands in a lot of things, but we're trying to influence the world towards a different way of thinking. Functional medicine, in particular, has really 2 definitions, and I think it's very important for people to understand. One definition out there, it's kind of an idea of running a bunch of cool tests that are not in the mainstream, and then maybe prescribing supplements rather than medication. Right. So, is it better? Yes. But are there some holes in that? Yes. Because even in both of those things, rarely, and this is not an indictment upon either, but rarely do we see the totality of care given towards the emotional, spiritual, and hardcore physical changes that we have to make towards diet, nutrition, exercise. It's not about eliminating certain things. It's about doing certain things as well. So, our philosophy is a little bit different with that. We kind of take functional medicine and sort of have transformed that, I believe, into true functional healing.
Wonderful. I think that lays it out really well. The big contrast for me, where going through cancer, going through all the things that we have, is the big connection between supplements and food, one extreme to the other, right? Like, so conventional medicine it doesn't matter. I've had radiologists try to give my son candy, right? Like, it's mind blowing where we are on some of those contrasts. One thing that I would really like your help clearing up and maybe making people more comfortable is the new telemedicine push, right? So, with COVID and Zoom exploding and all that, it's becoming more common, but it's still, you're not face to face with a doctor. You're not sitting right there in that room. So how have you been able to utilize and make people comfortable with telemedicine, which seems to be a big part of what you do?
Yeah, interestingly enough, like most things my wife and I get ourselves into, we really never found ourselves benefiting from the way things are always done. We've kind of just had to, in our world, listen to what God says and develop a direction and a strategy based upon Him that sometimes doesn't coincide with the way everybody else does it. With that said, telemedicine really has came on the rise, and what it is, in a nutshell, Logan, is where someone will use modalities such as this, a video chat modality, and they will have a visit with a person. Today, there's been a big push on that because of the COVID situation. People were told to stay away from other people and isolate, and again, I was never for that. But one thing it has done for us is it has expanded our ability to create a broader range of influence with the way that we believe God has called us into direction of helping people. And so with that said, we've embraced the idea of this quote unquote telemedicine. We've just called it telehealth, like instead of telemedicine, because today, just like the previous question you asked, difference between functional medicine and sort of this allopathic medicine, there's differences in telemedicine too. There are some telemedicine businesses popping up out there that absolutely promote the kind of things. Hey, call us, pay us money, and we're going to prescribe you hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, ivermectin, and just good to go. And again, it's a business, right? But what we do when we talk to someone like this is we tell them, look, we may be not physically face to face, but we are connected right now intimately. And so Logan, I look him in the eye and I'm saying, welcome to my world, and I want to welcome into your world. And we really try to build that connection just like they're right there. And the analogy I give people, if in that situation, is, do we see God face to face? We kind of have this idea of a telehealth kind of thing, isn't it? Even though we can't see it, it really happens. There's a connection there that can happen that's bigger than the idea of just connecting through video to prescribe something. There's a connection there that is one, thankfully because of technology, that can be such a great benefit. And I'll give you one example of that is just a general broad example. We have people really we help all around the country. And it's been fascinating because one person, let's say, Jane Doe out there, has a tremendous experience. Before you know it, you got Jane Doe's family. And it creates a little community out there that you have the benefit of and an honor of just being a part of, right? And seeing them, sort of become accountability, warriors for each other. And it's really cool to see that happening. So for us, it's been an amazing, amazing benefit. And I encourage people out there to really do your homework on what kind of telemedicine services that you're being provided. Because I'm not saying medication is bad, but it's got to be more than just that. Because if it's just that, we're falling back and regressing back into a worst case scenario where you don't go see the doctor. You just get prescribed a medicine from a telemedicine standpoint, and they didn't feel you, touch you, smell you, physically be in the same present, and it actually can do us a disservice.
Right. Well, you're still running through, these 15-minute appointments where they're sitting there looking at a computer more than they're looking at the patient anyways, right? So, like, I understand completely. One thing that you would be able to utilize through telemedicine is still some of these labs, right? To go in and get blood work, to get all the tests that any other doctor would be getting. It's just that you go into the lab and then you visit on a device.
We do, and we will share the screen. Our typical protocol or standard operating procedure is this, Logan. I mean, people today, and again, I'm grateful for what has happened since COVID from the good side of things. It has opened the door for a lot of things. We can do blood work with anybody really around, the United States of America, including Hawaii and Alaska. And it's really been fascinating because we will email them. They can get a requisition from us. They go get it done in a lab around them. And there's Quest laboratories, for example, everywhere. And so persons can go there. The results come back to us. We email the results to them ahead of the appointment time. We then share the screen with them. And we're going to go through that lab section by section until they get it. Because the greatest benefit you have from that type of connection is an increase in knowledge and wisdom. Physician should be known as a teacher, not a dictator. And that's a very important distinction. We do not have a staff member call somebody and say, for example, hi, Logan, Dr. Sherwood wanted you to know all your labs are normal. Goodbye. That is absolutely, it's misleading because the averages that are done in laboratory analyses as quote unquote normal levels are based upon the averages of what they have in their database from this particular population. And this particular population right now, I think everybody knows it's very sick. It's the sickest it's ever been in the history of the world. What did I just say? America is the sickest it's ever been in the history of the world. We have more sick people per capita than ever before in history. And yet, when someone hears you're normal, they celebrate that? No. I'm like, I don't want to be normal. I want to be abnormal and optimal.
Optimal. Yeah, that difference between normal and average and optimal is a stark contrast there.
Yes.
What wanted your take on this, because I feel like basically all disease, all chronic disease is really metabolic in nature.
Yeah.
But what kind of the top two leading things I'm finding, I feel, are toxicity or nutrient deficiency. That's the two areas where you're just destroying our health. And minerals have come up and been absolutely crucial in how deficient we are. And so we have a huge ag focus, right? Because you can't have health without ag, and doing ag, what I believe is be properly, right? So what have you seen on that with that kind of the toxicity and deficiency in the metabolic approach?
Well, I think it boils down to what we bring in at this border right here called the lips, right? We should have some good border security, what comes in and out of that thing. But the bottom line is, agriculture. Let's talk about that. That is a thing that God instituted. Remember, he told Adam to work the ground. So I guess you could say Adam was the original farmer, right? And ultimately, God made the earth so that the earth could support not just the existence of mankind, but the thriving of mankind. And that perfection that he created is still there. It is still there, but it has been clouded and shrouded with evil. And so you have to have great wisdom from God to know how to discern what is good from bad. And to that point, we've not allowed, as in general principles, the soil to rest. Therefore, the soil has less nutrients in them, which allows or disallows for more nutrients to come up within the food which we eat. And obviously that would be vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and even fatty acids from that matter, because we see those deficiencies. When people eat poorly from standard American diet, heavily chemically laden, pollutant-filled, toxin-filled foods, we get no nutrients. So not only do we become nutrient deficient, but we also gain fat tissue. Fat tissue holds toxins. Toxins, for the most part, are fat soluble. So therefore, we get more fat, more toxic, more nutrient deficient. And so when I see the obesity crisis within America happening, and right now, by the way, 70%, which is 40% obese and 30% overweight, that's where America is right now. And all those people that I see gaining excess weight, it's not a calorie problem. It is a nutrient and toxicity problem. And frankly, that breaks my heart because it's so preventable.
Man, I agree. I think that you laid that out there really well, really able to kind of understand and see the connection there. I wasn't planning on going here, so if you're not prepared to answer this, just say, pass. But with you having ran for governor of Oklahoma recently, I'm very curious as to what you were looking at on the ag policy, or like what cabinet member you would have for like the Secretary of Ag. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. I thought about that a lot, and I had sort of these ideas and plans, and I appreciate that question, because hopefully this gives people some insight that what can and could be done from a true leadership position, not just a political elected official, but a leader. Leaders are about the people and how they can serve and benefit the people. The politicians are about how you can serve and benefit them, and how you can sort of grow their coffers of money through influence and lobbying, etc. Big Ag is the backbone of our country. It's the backbone. Farmers, ranchers, they're the backbone. And I had several thoughts on that. I wanted to make Oklahoma a self-sustaining state. to give the farmers what they needed to grow a lot of crops, promote the increase in farmers market, to promote people buying from local farmers, to cut off the federal regulations where the farmer could sell a cow to his neighbor. The farmer could actually sell his crops to his neighbor. And the farmers wouldn't be bound by all these federal nonsensical bureaucratic regulations that are preventing the people of America from being healthy. And so I want Oklahoma, for example, and it's the same. There's pretty much every state could be self-sustainable if we promoted good, sound farming and gave people the ability, farmers, for example, to grow a crop from original seeds and quit controlling the seeds. Quit controlling them on how they can spray their crops or not. If they choose to, great. If they choose to, not. It's their choice. And the people then have a choice on which farmer to buy from. And I believe the people of this great state of Oklahoma and Arkansas or Texas or Kansas would have appreciated that, because I think it would have given the farmers a bump in confidence that they need. And right now, sadly to say, it appears to me that because of the lack of doing that, the other side of the coin is this: there's been so much dependence upon the federal government to subsidize the farmer. Therefore, they become dependent and they can't change because they need that money. And make no mistake about it, China is profiting off of farmers' calamities, because here's a bunch of cash, and Farmer Logan is just absolutely beside himself. He's up in debt. He's not selling anything. He's not turning over a profit. And here's somebody offers you cash money to get out of that farm, and you're going to do it. And they're going to say that, oh, Logan, I can't blame you. And they're going to turn it into a quote-unquote marijuana farm, which is nothing more than an infiltration of property into our country. And we're going to establish more internal conflict that's actually designed to destroy our country.
I've been really, really shocked at the siphoning of our land, going to other countries and technocrats. Actually, I think this is maybe the third podcast interview in a row where Bill Gates, I just realized through prepping for another interview that he has 48,000 acres in Arkansas, farmland.
Totally.
We're just losing our own land, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just, it don't pass the smell test. We got to figure out. And so I was really curious on how you were thinking about that with that political level, right? Like there's something that is not working there. But anyways, one more thing. I don't know where we are on time. I know you got a hard out, but we got a few more minutes.
Yeah.
I did want to get your opinion on meat, okay? Because what I am found, are you familiar with Dr. Thomas Seyfried by chance?
Yes.
So Seyfried out in Boston College, we interviewed him recently, and he has the metabolic approach to cancer, right? And there's this huge push on carnivore, and where we have, Mark, I've been shocked with how well I have seen people go with it. I have experimented with it. It's probably the best I've ever felt in my life. And so when Lander was first diagnosed with cancer, I read the China study, right? And the meat causes cancer and all of this that they said in there. And I am just not finding support for that as I just continue to dive in. And I just really wanted your thoughts, because a lot of this is just different. And one more thing to throw in there, I visited with Dr. Russell Ryder, who's down in Texas, and he's the melatonin guy. And so he's collaborated a lot of this. And the use of melatonin in metabolic diseases is really interesting, to say the least. So you got any thoughts on that, brother?
Yeah, first of all, on the meat thing, I think we need to go back to biblical principles. We were never designed to be vegetarians. Obviously, originally, Adam and Eve probably were, but then when the fall of man came and Noah hopped off the boat after the flood, God told people to eat meat at that point. So we need to establish that right now. That's not my idea, that's God's. And so we have teeth that can chew up meat. The problem with meat is not the beef. It is what America has done to the processing of the beef. These confined animal feeding operations are filled with a cow that's sold very fat fast, and they're given chemicals to grow fat fast. They're fed food to grow fat fast, and they're sold by weight, not by health. And so that idea has created the thought process that meat is bad. Meat has never been quote unquote bad. Otherwise, God would have been bad telling mankind to eat it. I mean, logical would tell you that. I have seen people do very, very well on a carnivore diet, and my suspicion or hypothesis is this: is the withdrawal of the processed foods is really the thing that's making a great difference. The abstinence of the processed foods is creating metabolic harmony once again, because we all know that cancer, being a metabolic disease, is driven by high sugar. When they do a PET scan, they fill your body with sugar, take a picture, and the cancer cells take it up. I mean, that's just common sense. Further, we know that the ketosis that's created by that particular diet can disrupt metabolism from fat in a good way, creating fat loss, which is, as we talked about earlier, a release of toxins and lowering inflammation. So there is great benefit to that. Now, having said that, there are essential things that we need that are not in meat. So you have to think about how to supplement properly, and I believe you can effectively do that. So I like the approach. Does it fit everyone? Who knows? I think that's a up in the air question, but can it be done with success with those caveats? Yes.
Awesome. No, I've definitely been meaning to get with you on all that, because it's you get a lot of things coming out, right? With like Dr. Sean Baker and Kim Berry, and then Saladino's really kind of taking his approach different from where he was a few years ago. But we have learned so much just through the adversity of life. And as Napoleon Hill, says, it's like the theme of everything I do: with every adversity comes the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. And so we've just been able to learn. We've been able to meet people like you and just difference makers. So how can I send people you and Dr. Michelle's way if they want help to go about things a little different? And Tulsa, Lord, it's a 4-hour drive from where I live, 5 hours from Little Rock, so it's really not that far if they didn't want that telemedicine approach.
Well, they can go to Sherwood.tv, Logan, and we do a free webinar once or twice a month that people can attend. And we have a subject matter that we teach upon and allow them to ask us questions in the chat bar. We do that for a couple different reasons. Number one is I don't want anybody spending any money until they get to know us as human beings. And number two, it kind of gives them a flavor of what we really do. And I appreciate, like, this broadcast, is good because it gives them a flavor of what we do. If people want to make change and they want to have sort of a God-centric approach with the goal to lead people down the pathway of true healing, we would be a good fit. If they're just looking for a pill for an ill and don't want to do any work, that would not be a good fit. And so people can do that. And from that webinar that is free, once again, people can schedule a consult. And by attending the webinar, they get a break on the price. So it's actually a win-win. People can work with us anywhere. And I had a gentleman just yesterday from your part of the world reach out to me, and he is struggling on some issues, and we had an incredible time. And he feels like right now he has some hope because we offer a little bit of a fresh perspective on things, and we are personable. We are who we are off screen and on screen. You know that. And
I can attest to that.
Yeah, and I think that a fresh approach is what the world needs right now in this area, and hopefully more doctors will sort of embrace this concept as well.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, and y'all enjoy y'all's getaway, and we will be talking soon.
Logan, thanks for having me, man. I'm super honored and always enjoy it.
Thank you for listening to the Sowing Prosperity podcast. We hope that you have learned something new and that you are inspired to adopt regenerative practices in your community. Remember that by working together, we can create a sustainable and abundant future for ourselves and for future generations.